Hello, Instagram. It's great to see you all. I just want to do a little bit. We're doing a little bit of a tech check right now. If you are on LinkedIn or on Instagram, give us a thumbs up if you are hearing us, if you're seeing us. We would love to just have that feedback to know that you guys are hearing us loud and clear on both platforms. So for those of you who are on Instagram, just give me a heads up. Evelyn, you can check that out. Tell me if you see. Do you see comments?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, amazing. And I see we have a couple of folks on LinkedIn. If you are here watching on Facebook or LinkedIn, please in the comment section, just give us a thumbs up, a little bit of a hi. Tell us where you're from. We have not done one of these joined LinkedIn lives or Instagram lives in a while. So we are kind of experimenting as well as trying to see if we can help with your questions on self-regulation. So let's see. There we go. That's great. Thank you, Ada. She's going to be a child psychologist, and this account teaches you so much. I'm so grateful. So first of all, we want to welcome you. For those of you who are new to us, my name is Amy Guttman, and my sister, Evelyn.
Hello, everyone.
We are known as the Guttman Sisters, part of Hands-On Approaches, and we are neurodevelopmental occupational therapists that specialize in anxiety and processing delay. And if you've been following us, if you know about our programming, we've been talking a lot lately about regulation. And we've had a rough week ourselves personally, and we've learned and tapped into those areas. I would have to say on a continuous basis this last week to kind of make sure that we were able to get what we needed to in getting into a place of productivity and efficiency. But for some of us, we wonder why we have a harder time regulating than other folks do. We want to know and understand how we can help our children who may have some difficulties. There are lots of things that come into play. So today we're not going to spend too much time, but we do want to share a little bit about the stages of self-regulation. Lots of questions were coming in about, is regulation the same thing as being calm, being happy? So I just wanted to get those questions in for you. If you're listening, feel free to drop a question on the Instagram account. I know that there's a Q&A box. There's also the comments. Evelyn, if you're seeing the comments, you can just monitor that there. If you are here on Facebook or LinkedIn, feel free to drop a comment and we will check them out and try and answer as much as possible. So I take a breath because I am home alone tonight. This was a spontaneous live. We kind of just wanted to see how the technology would be working out. I think the sound is pretty good. I'm getting some good feedback here. But let's just talk a little bit about, when does regulation really begin and what is regulation? How is that different than being calm or getting stress-free? So should we start talking with some of those definitions?
Yeah, I think we should first define what it is. So I'll start with that if that's okay.
Sure.
When we talk about regulating, we're talking about how do you manage the emotions that you are going through at any given time in the most productive way. And it has to do with what tools you're using, both cognitively or what you're using physiologically, when you're in a state of feeling sometimes even calm. You can be like, every day everything's going okay. We're constantly creating these shifts both in our physiology and both in our mind to help us regulate. How much more so do you need these shifts when you're going through a time of stress, or you're going through a time where there's heightened energy, or you're upset with someone, or someone's annoying you, or even it could be something as simple as no one's with you and you just have 100 things to do and you need to be productive, and you're feeling a lot of things, whether it's worry, whether it's nervousness, whether it's anger, whatever emotion it may be. How well are you able to manage it and create a shift so that you're doing okay? And the thing about regulation is that you also have to know that it's not just about yourself. Anything that you do for yourself affects the environment and the people that are around you. So that's basically what it is in a nutshell. You want to add anything?
Yeah, I think you wrapped it up pretty well, but I think there's just one other component that I would maybe remind folks about, is that being regulated sometimes does not have to do with what you're thinking or feeling, but the environment itself can just impact what you're feeling or thinking. And I know that's like a subtle nuance, but it could be important for the person who maybe really doesn't have a reason to be stressed, but they find that they're always on edge, or they're always in overwhelm, or they're always feeling a certain way and they don't know why. And when they think about it, it's coming from an internal physiological component rather than that psychological issue or that issue with them being able to really tap into what's bothering them. I know I can share from experience because I had these issues as a youngster that sometimes I would, and I think, Evelyn, you were my witness to this, I would sometimes be bothered and I wouldn't know why. And I wouldn't be able
Right.
to say it's because of this reason or because of the stressful situation, but rather I
Right.
need to like walk around and kind of use movement to get into a place in my body to say, oh, that's what's bothering me. And interestingly, that's where I was regulated, having the awareness of what was happening through my physiology. I was able to identify what was happening. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go
Right. So
ahead.
I think that's an important distinction because I think many times when we talk about regulation, we think about the cognitive piece. In my mind, what do I have to say? What do I have to do? And really, a lot of regulation has to do with our body, our physiology. Many people, when they are in a place of deregulation, because physiologically they're not doing well, their nervous system is heightened, whether it means that they're more of a fight response or they're shutting down, you really can't always access those higher levels of thinking in the purest and the quickest or the smoothest way in order to know, hey, this is what's really bothering me. And then what ends up happening, you're in reaction mode. How are you dealing with it? What's the reaction? What's the response? And you can't break down the pieces of, oh, this is what set me off, or I should have done this differently. So you're right. And I think it's a big piece that many people are not so aware of. I think, or if you are, it's hard to like sometimes shift that. And it makes it harder to also think about what to do when you're in those moments. So I think it's a combination of knowing, having both your physiology in the right place and also your mindset and what you can do cognitively to help yourself.
All right, so I think we covered some of those terms. If you're having any questions or you want to get deeper on the terms, please drop a question in the box or in the comment section here on the other platforms, and we will try and get to it. Two other components we want to talk about before we get into those questions. Regulation or self-regulation, again, is being able to shift in the moment based on your environment or what you're feeling psychologically. There are two key pieces when we talk about the stages or the development of self-regulation. One is, what is the neurological component of self-regulation? When should we really be learning how to regulate on a physiological level, not emotionally? Again, we learn how to regulate over time throughout development, throughout our young years, throughout our childhood, throughout our teenage years, even up to age 25, 27, when our frontal cortex is truly developing. That's really where our self-regulatory skills are in play. But physiologically, we actually get to that place, and this is going to shock some of you, before 6 months of age. And we'll get into that. So that's one piece I want to talk about. We get a lot of questions about that. And the second piece I want to talk about is co-regulation, because I think that's key. So, Evelyn, do you want to get started? Should I get rolling on one of them?
So I can start. I think we should let's talk. I think for many people, I mean, if you know us, we talk about this a lot with the development in terms of regulation. But a lot of people are not aware that the blueprint for our basic skills for regulation begins, like you said, from birth through that first 6 months of life, the first year of life. And if you think about it, what really helps establish that is physiologically the things that happen in those first crucial months. Is a baby happy? Are they eating well? Are they feeding well? Are they taking in things from the environment in a way where they're able to process what is innocuous to them? And in the beginning, by the way, everything bothers a baby. So think about it. If you really think, imagine a baby that's born and everything bothers them: temperature, light, noise. They're constantly startling, and it's as they get acclimated to what's going on in their environment through attachment with their parents, having good feeding sessions, having affection, having a good bonding, that really helps establish how your nervous system is going to react. Even something so much so as what's going on in your environment. What are you picking up from the energy that's around you? You we may not realize how impacted our babies are by the way we ourselves as parents are feeling, or caregivers. So it really starts to get established there, and And it builds on that. So your foundation starts from there. Does that mean that you can't change that? No. Thank God we can change that, but it really starts from that point.
And it just to like kind of really drive this home, if we understood how much of that brain map or that neural connection that comes into play before a child can even speak, we would be in a different way interpreting that those couple of months. And again, we know that children have issues with feeding and with sleeping, and parents are sometimes stressed. There's sometimes postpartum depression, that mothers are not able to be as present as they need to. Those components, though, it really is a big sign on us as a society, whether we're a teacher, whether we're a foster parent, a direct caregiver, we're babysitting, whatever it might be, that our regulation is feeding off on that child, which really connects with the co-regulation piece.
Right.
But really, we're talking about that physiological part that's developing. And if there was a traumatic birth, or if there were any issues, that child will have brain maps that will go in a loop response that will not get resolved just naturally. They'll learn how to use their mind, right? Because parents
Right.
will teach them, schools will teach them. I mean, in a way, as a society, we've become so emotionally aware with social media and with blogs that we're feeding this information to kids way before they should be able to handle it
Right.
almost. And that's part of a problem. We're telling them, feel your emotions. They don't know sometimes what it means. They've been taught what happy means, or what, angry is, but maybe they never felt satisfied, right? Because they didn't eat well. Then that emotional state of being happy or feeling comfortable was never registered in that brain
Right.
schema. And again, we might be getting too deep in here, but we just want to share the point that really early on in life, those components can be really the critical building blocks for their responses later on.
Right. 100%.
And then just to talk about the co-regulation piece, I want to just share with that a little bit. We talk about it with how we're feeling that they're feeding off it. You shared a little bit on a post recently, or maybe it was in a story. I don't know if you got to put that on, about a client that you had that you were watching. I think we can talk a little bit about how co-regulation can happen even just by being an observer of someone else. If you can share with everyone about that
Well,
experience.
yeah. So this happened last week. I mean, this happens a lot, especially, in the way that we treat and we're working with the parent and the child, and you can somehow see that there's a certain dynamic that goes on. A child could be behavioral, or honestly, it could be that a parent is not in a good place. And you think that you're not maybe showing it to your child, but you're feeling it. And they, especially for the kids who are more highly sensitive, or they're picking up on the vibe or the energy, it can really be so impactful on their own regulation. And what happened last week was I was doing a Zoom session, and this is even more powerful for me because you're not in the room, but you're witnessing what's going on. And this child was really, really angry. Now, I don't know what happened before. It could be like they had a dynamic of something going on, but there came a moment where you could feel like there was something between the parent and the child where there wasn't good regulation going on both ends. And I basically stopped the session and I told the mom, I want you to just give him a hug. I want you to put him in your lap and just give him a hug, and don't say anything, and just take deep breaths. And they did that. And, it was uncomfortable, I think, for a moment, not the giving of the hug, but more so like he was a little resistant. But you can visibly see that when that mother, I want to say, disconnected a little bit. That's what I was trying to create, a disconnect and a shift. All of a sudden, that child let go. He was still angry. He was still upset, but you could feel that there was some form of a shift because they were feeding off of one another. And it's so
And I know
powerful.
we do this between ourselves. Like,
Right.
I mean, if you ever listen to our weekly talks, I'm taking those big breaths. My husband sometimes is listening in and he's like, oh, there's going to be a big moment here. Cause he like laughs about it. But sometimes the emotions are so much for me that that's where I naturally tap into it. And you may be listening to me and thinking that I'm just breathing like an exaggerated breath, but it's actually my instinctive response to shift and to disconnect from feeling too much when hearing someone who's sharing and sharing emotionally what they're going through. And that's like a protective state for me, and that's okay. Like, I'm allowed that because the time that I'm in those rooms or in that space, it's intense. But when you're a mother, like what you were experiencing, Evelyn, she wasn't looking at it in an objective way. She was upset
No, she was
because
in the
this is her,
moment.
right. This is her son. This is like, how many of you out there, if you're moms, you're with your kids and you're just like, I mean, I'm going to say it. You want to pull your hair out, or you just don't like your child in that moment. You can like put a heart there if you're resonating in some way. No one's judging. We're not looking at who's putting the hearts out. But when you're in that place, I know that I relate to that sometimes. And I love my kids, but sometimes it's too much. The power has to come that in the moment you're able to tap in that physiological response to shift, which is sometimes harder if our brain maps from when we were young were set in a certain way. Meaning we may have been taught about this. I know my kids have social emotional learning in school and SEL, and they're doing great in being able to identify feelings and being able to tell stories about what they would do and how they would act. But sometimes developmentally, they're supposed to be in a physiological response and sometimes they're not. And for our kids who have that issue, they will develop into adults who will just learn how to compensate with their mind and their frontal lobe and coping mechanisms rather than with themselves. And it catches up to you. If you have
Right.
issues with regulation, back pain, issues with our jaws, a lot of TMJ can be coming from repeated subtle movements that are occurring within our body without that self-awareness. So I just wanted to share that as well. I want to welcome everyone who's here on the lives tonight. This is a spontaneous live. We did not plan it. We are doing a dual live, actually a triple live on Facebook, on LinkedIn, as well as on Instagram. It's so grateful to have you here. I don't know if there were any comments or questions coming in on Instagram, but while
No,
you're
I didn't say anything.
did you check? There's also a Q&A box, so you can check
No
that as
questions?
well.
Okay.
Yeah, let's see.
No.
Okay, so we have a quiet audience tonight. I do want to share a little bit about our regulation challenge because we did get some questions that were coming in. We are doing this for the 5th time. We have renamed it to the Self-Regulated Life because of the positive responses we've had from the almost 400 participants who have come to these challenges in the last couple of years. This is the 5th time we're doing it. And every single time we tweak it, we change a little bit more. The goal of this challenge, it's a 9-week program, or this program is to help you get to a place from self-awareness to self-regulation to eventually self-actualization, being able to be so present in the moment that you are expanding your mind and actualizing what you need to do as a parent, as an individual, and as a professional. My sister and I have been getting a lot of questions from those who have come in the past. We have many people who repeat this program. What's going to be different here? I do want to share that we are going to be adding some new kind of exercises and movements. Each of these recordings are going to be, shared weekly on Mondays and Thursdays. And then we do a live enhancement session where we dig deep on how you're doing through the program, as well as a daily community chat. That is the key piece. We keep you accountable. My sister and I are personally going through the challenge ourselves. We're involved in it. And that's a way for us to be able to be present to you and help you get to a place of automaticity in the moment of being able to shift out of that stress response into a place of awareness and presence. So if you would like to join us, we are starting next week, Monday. Feel free to DM us for the link or check it out in the bio. And we are excited to be offering that as well. And a couple of people are asking, is it recorded? Again, these are recordings, so
Yes.
they'll be released. You'll have time. If they're released at a certain time, we don't get to see it, don't worry. You can watch it at a later date. The live enhancement sessions are this time scheduled at different times during the day. You'll be getting that schedule beforehand. We do this for our international clients who are here and always wanting to be able to participate. We want to be able to serve you as well. But that daily chat, again, is always available 24/7. So you can always log in. Yeah, go ahead.
And I wanted to share what I find unique about it, and this is from the feedback, is I think a lot of times you take something and things obviously build like one session or one technique on another. And here it's more so about trying to get us on a certain success path of achieving what we want, like you say, from self-regulation to self-awareness to self-regulation to self-actualization. And what's unique is that we're all different and we all respond differently to situations. My regulation is going to be different than yours, and what I'm going to use will be obviously very different than what you use. And there's something there for everybody. So if something doesn't work, that's okay. You can go the next day, try the next technique. And we try to give a pretty robust amount of techniques that you can customize and pick and choose what is for you. And I want to share that since I'm doing this for the fifth time, and you and I have worked on a lot of these things outside of, I know we call it a challenge, but I don't like to really call it a challenge, which is why we also changed the name, because I really think it's about integrating this into a daily life thing that you have to do. I also see that at different times, some of the things that never resonated will resonate more with me, and I'm able to do it. It's not that I lose what I did before, but it just doesn't work for me in that time. And I think it's fascinating because you really learn about yourself. There's a lot of self discovery, there's a lot of self growth. And I think that that's the most impactful thing I know for myself, and from what we also hear from the people that join us. I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of support, and you can be vulnerable if you want, and you can not. So there's accountability. So I think it's just something. For me, it's always an empowering situation.
Just so you understand, these groups are very small. Everyone signs a confidentiality agreement. My sister and I, we share a lot about the journey as well. We are always in a season of life of growing and developing and needing to be able to be present for whatever is going on, whether it's in our personal life, our professional life, or even in our own self development. So it's a huge opportunity. I hope that if you've been looking for this, you can gift yourself that. We want you to try and do that. We've kept the price at the same rate. Next time we do this, we probably will be increasing it. So if you were waiting off just because you weren't able to, try if you can. If you have done this in the past, there is a discount code to do it again. So reach out to our assistant, our amazing Veronica. She can help you with that to set it up. Okay, so the takeaways before we close for the night. Our babies are key in understanding that regulation begins there. Self regulation is something that, even if the brain map is steady or constant, or we have a certain loop, we have the power to change it because the power of the brain allows for neuroplasticity. And the third component is co regulation is a key for everyone in our life, not just our children, but also for ourselves, for our partners, for our employees, our employers, whichever way you go, whoever you are in life. And if outside stimuli like news is affecting you, or the environment is there, there is hope, there's an ability, it's work. This is not, take a journal
Right.
and write something down. I know that there are programs out there that talk about all these different kind of other things like meditate and breathe and run, all great stuff, powerful. But we really need to work on that physiological piece through self-awareness to know what is right for you individually. Yeah,
And
Evelyn.
I just wanted to also say that I think what's also important to stress, because I know for many people this is a very difficult time. There's a lot that's going on in the world, and there's always stuff going on. People have trauma, people have emotional times, they have stressful times. The key to self-regulation is also that when you go through those times, it's the work that you do by practicing and developing that self-awareness that allows you to tap into it during those moments. So I could tell you, I'll just give you the example. This was a hard week for me. And as you said when we started, I was like sometimes not regulating. At the same time, I had what to pull from. And I think even though I wasn't as regulated as I thought I wanted to be, I was regulating better than I thought I would be regulating. And I was
Right.
able to create the shifts. And I knew it because how many of us, if you just think about it, you go through a day and you're like, you're finished. And it's not that you're really so physically exhausted if you're feeling okay and medically you're okay with, but it's more how much effort did it take to get through your day because you weren't in a regulated place. And I don't know, I think I told you, and I may have even said something. I think I posted it like today was the first day in a week that I really felt like I was able to get through my day and I was doing better than I was last week because I also gave myself that time of knowing, okay, I needed to shift something, I needed to change something. And I worked a little bit harder over the weekend to practice being in a better place. And it really served me well. So imagine if you're able to implement this every day, the impact that it has on you.
Yeah, I can share with you, that nature is my go-to. And because I
I know
stayed
when you
up,
don't do it,
yeah,
you're like totally different. Stay awake.
I stayed up late this week. My head was full. I had some intense thoughts that were running through my mind. I had some things I was dealing with my family, and I didn't go necessarily for my morning walks because I had to conserve the sleep that I need in order to function, and that impacted me. And I knew that, and
Right.
that's okay. I was able to give myself that grace. So I just want to say, if anyone's listening out there, this is something that we're always dealing with. You can tap into it. Even if you don't do our program, you can work on that. Sometimes it's easier to be with other folks and to have the support that you need. 9 weeks is a robust amount of time to make sure to make neural connections that will last and allow you to make permanent changes with your own regulation. I hope you'll join us. And again, if you are watching this as a recording, drop a question. You can leave a comment and we will get back to you with anything that's on your mind about the earlier material or anything about this upcoming program. Thank you so much. Evelyn, I think we did good with tech. Do you see some questions over there? I
Yeah, I
see
was
you
just seeing
looking.
a comment from Ada.
Yeah.
She was working with 3 4-year-olds and
If you could read it for those.
it says she wrote a comment. I was a preschool teacher last year, so from working with 3 to 4-year-olds and also toddlers, I would say it starts as soon as we start, as early as we can say the word mom.
Exactly.
True.
And from what we're saying, it's even before that, frankly. So
Yeah.
if we knew that power, that would be an amazing thing to revolutionize the way that we're looking at our children, that it's not only when they start speaking.
Thank you, Ada, for your comments. I'm sorry I missed them.
All right. I think we're good then. Yes? All
Yeah.
right. Let's say good night. We're going to wrap it up. Drop
Good
us a
night,
question, a
everyone.
comment. Have a great night. Take care now.
Take care. Bye.